What's up everyone? Mikey Bell here with Outdoor Adventure Training. If you're about to head out onto the trail or get outside with really any activity, you've come to the right place. This is a trail warm-up. So whether you're hitting the trail to go hiking, trail running, backpacking, even if you're going mountain biking, skiing, backcountry skiing, this is an awesome, well-rounded routine to help get the joints lubricated, get the muscles warmed up, and it's going to be exclusively dynamic stretching techniques. So hopefully you know by now that static stretching before exercise is not good to do. It's going to decrease your performance and increase your risk of injury. Dynamic stretching is far superior to perform before exercise as it helps warm the body up and get the muscles ready for action. Static stretching will save for after in our longer mobility routines. Let's dive right into this 10-minute routine. Open the Outdoor Adventure Training app, click on the trail warm-up. As you can see, it's pretty short, just 10 minutes and about 7 or 8 exercises. So we're starting off with a 90-90 hip rotation. So you're just gonna sit on your hips, and I'm creating a 90-degree angle with one leg and a 90-degree angle with another leg. Your hands can just be behind you, and then I'm very simply just rotating side to side. I know I've done this before on this channel. I'm really thinking about driving this knee into the ground, not as much of a stretch on this one, but I'm definitely just warming up the hip joints. And notice that I'm not holding it for much longer than 3 to 5 seconds. That's kind of the threshold we're going for. Keep breathing, and we're really trying to push that knee down. I should get a good stretch through the external rotators as we're working internal rotation. So we'll be working all sides of the hips today, anterior, posterior, lateral, and medial. Get a few more of these here before we transition to a squat warm-up. You might get a little release in the low back with this as well. Okay, right into a deep squat and reach. So I'm just gonna be in a squat position. If this is enough for you, just hang out here and try to be dynamic. But if not, we're gonna reach out as far as we can with one side. We're gonna match this other hand across, and I'm gonna try to open my thoracic cavity by rotating through the spine as much as I can comfortably and trying to create a straight line. I'm just trying to work this motion here. I'll get a few more reps on this side, and we'll switch to the other side. So not only are you holding this squat, but you're also warming up the spine and the upper back. Also, you might be feeling this a little bit in the calves. I'm gonna switch sides here. As far as squat form, my feet are a little bit externally rotated. I'm okay with that, just for warming up. If this is too difficult, you could prop your heels up, but that just means you need to work more on your mobility. Okay, we're going into Skandasana next. So you're gonna go wider with your feet, and I'm gonna sink down as far as I can to one side. I can even let that toe come up off the ground. And I'm gonna pop over to the other side. Really deep stretch in the adductors. You might even feel this in the hip of the loaded leg. And then just use your hands as much as you need to. Obviously, if you have limited range of motion, you might be up here, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But go as far as you can comfortably. I've been doing this movement for many years. You can come all the way up and kind of floss those hamstrings and hips, and trying to keep this knee not totally locked out, but fairly straight. So all of these movements today, we're warming up the ankles, okay? So anytime you can do this kind of thing, and then we're getting really deep flexion, that's really what we're going for. Next is a seated anterior tibialis stretch. So anterior tibialis, just on the lateral side of the tibia. If you're a runner, you know this one can get aggravated. So I know it says static stretch on the app there, but all I'm gonna do is make this a little bit more dynamic. So I'm sitting on my heels, my shins are straight, and then I can just slowly rock back a little bit and get a little bit of this rocking motion. Again, this might be enough of a stretch for you right here. You might be like this even, and that's okay. Just still try to get that rocking motion. And really whatever works here, I just kind of like to rock back and forth, getting a really good stretch through the front of the ankles. The goal is that we're generating some movement, gaining some mobility, getting those muscles ready for a workout. You could do this before just any workout too. Okay, down dog for a minute. Kind of show you some ways that we can manipulate this. So of course there's just the standard downward facing dog where I'm pushing into my hands all the way through and also trying to get my heels as close to the ground as possible. If you're up here because you have tight calves, that's okay. Over time that will get better. But I'm also trying to push my chest towards my thighs. Really good stretch through the back of the legs and through the shoulders. Now if I want, I can shade one foot to the middle, just kind of do a bit of a three-legged dog. You don't necessarily need to get your leg up in the air, but you can. I oftentimes just like to alternate back and forth from foot to foot, kind of stretching and flexing my toes, getting a little cracking through the big toe. And then from here, we're gonna be transitioning into a lunge and twist, one of my favorite pre-workout, pre-run stretches. So I'm just gonna bring one foot between my hands and drop this back knee on the ground. If this is enough for you, that's fine. But again, we're not gonna be static. So I want you to just kind of work back and forth. If not, you can take your hand, place it on your thigh. I'm trying to twist. And I'm gonna slowly undo that. And then twist again. So just working reps here. Okay, so I'm really exaggerating that spinal movement, mostly through the thoracic spine, right? I'm not really twisting in my low back. My core is staying engaged. For these last few seconds here, if you want, you can reach this hand back, bring that foot to your hand, and get a little bit of a quad stretch. And again, we're not holding this statically, so I'm gonna try to come out of it a little bit and then press into it. This does require a bit of flexibility. I'm gonna be switching to the other side here in a second.
Lunge and twist.
So you can kind of just get back into your downward dog. I know some people are gonna hate me for this because it's kind of like yoga. But hey, yoga's great. Okay, I'm rotating, I'm pushing, I'm actively pushing through that thigh. Rotating back. Great way to warm up the spine and the hip flexors, right? The hip flexors are connected to the spine. So anytime you're kind of opening up the hip flexors and twisting at the same time, you're getting really deep into the psoas, even into the upper head of the quadricep muscles. And then for this last little bit here, I'm gonna grab that foot, get a little bit of quad action going. So I can even just kind of pull, get the stretch, ease out of it. But again, the goal is that we're not holding it for too long. Just getting warmed up. And now, rockabye hammy. Okay, it's really just an active half split stretch. I just rocked my hips back so my heel's on the ground. Try to keep your leg as straight as possible. And all I'm doing is just kind of rocking back and forth, okay? So I'm working plantar flexion, trying to get my toes almost to the ground, and then dorsiflexion, bringing those toes up towards the shin. And you should feel a lot of activation through the upper gastroc and the hamstrings. I feel like I practically live in this stretch, especially when I'm running, training a lot of uphill motion will get those calves and hamstrings going. Really good way to counter that. So notice my whole body is just subtly rocking back and forth. You might even get a little stretch in the lower back. Slow and controlled, and then we'll be switching to the other side here. So just swapping feet.
Rockabye hammock.
So if your knee is bent, you might need blocks, you might need a foam roller to stay up a little bit higher. That's totally fine. I understand that maybe I'm slightly more flexible than some folks. This one in particular for me today is a little tighter. Sometimes I just like to grab onto the ankle and get a little manual mobility in there, kind of work out whatever funk is built up. Hopefully this isn't the only thing you're doing to prepare for a run. Getting adequate sleep, of course drinking enough water, eating a well-balanced meal several hours before, maybe even a quick snack before you go. If you're fasting, it's a whole different conversation. This is just one piece of the puzzle. And then we're switching back to downward dog. So this is somewhat of a reassessment, just 30 seconds here. So after all of those stretches, your hamstrings, your calves should feel a little bit more open. Again, I'm not statically holding. I'm still moving quite dynamically. Never more than 3 to 5 seconds in any one position. This isn't necessarily a cardiovascular warm-up, but it should get the joints and muscles ready to perform. Okay, we're switching to knee circles now. So all I'm doing, I've done this many times on this channel, my feet under my hips, and I'm tracing big circles. Again, this is somewhat of an assessment, see what's still bothering you. Like I still have a little bit of tightness in my left piriformis. Maybe I would do some active pigeon stretch to get that opened up a little bit more. But other than that, things are feeling pretty good. I'm really driving those knees forward, still getting a lot of activation through the lower leg. That's kind of the focus of this warm-up. Getting those ankles, calves, anterior tibialis ready to go. Nice work. A few more each direction. Okay, nice job. Hopefully that wasn't too hard. It's just a warm up. Obviously you can extend this however you'd like. Feel free to throw more stretches in there. I think you could dynamic stretch for an hour before a run and not overdo it, as long as you're not holding those static stretches. Of course, other techniques like foam rolling or the massage gun or other forms of self-massage with a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball is another excellent way to get warmed up for a run. We got videos for that on our channel as well. Once again, my name is Mikey Bell. Hopefully you have a great day out on the trail, and we'll see you next time here at Outdoor Adventure Training.